I now live in Chandler, Arizona. This story happened when I was 17, and I was really into playing video games. I lived with my parents at the time. I spent a lot of time playing Call of Duty on my computer in my room, especially during the hot summer days. Back then, I had the house to myself quite often because my parents were frequently away, and I was the last one to move out, as far as I can remember. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. It's free, and it helps us create more content for you to enjoy. This happened on a Friday night, or a night when there was no school the next day because I stayed up late after coming home. I finished a paper that was due that night. After that, I had to go shopping as per my mom's instructions because they were going to be away for a while. That was how I contributed to the household, according to my dad. They gave me cash for the shopping, but I always had to show them the receipt so they knew I spent it right. My mom provided me with a shopping list, and I drove to Whole Foods in my old Camry, which was my first car. The shopping took about an hour, including the time at the grocery store. A guy behind me in the store started talking to me for some reason. He commented on something I was buying and just wouldn't stop, even when I was packing my groceries. It was strange because he wasn't talking to anyone else. I stayed polite though. When it was time to leave, I said, "Have a good one," and went to my car in the parking lot. I packed the trunk and then went home. It was a really hot day in early June, so I didn't feel like going outside to do anything. Once I finished everything I had to do, it was already dark outside. So I started playing Call of Duty Black Ops on my computer and texted my friend Johnny to join me. He hopped into our game and we played some team deathmatch like we usually do. I wore my noise-canceling Logitech headset and we planned to play Call of Duty all night to level up. But of course, I had to take a break to make dinner at some point. About 2 hours into playing, I told Johnny I was going to eat, and I'd probably be back on in an hour. He said he'd join me later too. So I took a break and cooked some pasta for dinner. My room is upstairs, and the kitchen is downstairs. While I was eating in the kitchen, I heard a thump from upstairs. It made me wonder if it was a footstep, but I wasn't sure. It could have been many things, but the last thing I expected was a footstep. Even so, I went and locked the front door. Lately, I'd sometimes leave it unlocked because my parents' house is in a safe neighborhood, and I never really thought about the possibility of a break-in. You hear about it on the news, but you never think it will happen to you. I went upstairs, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I said my brother Tristan's name into the hallway. I knew he wasn't supposed to be here, but I don't know. I heard a sound, and I felt the urge to see if anyone was here. When no one answered back, I went back to my room and got back on Call of Duty. I put my headset back on and texted Johnny that I'm going back on. Shortly after he came back on, we started playing Team Deathmatch again. A couple of games in, I looked to my left at the doorway of my room into the hallway. I don't know if something in my peripheral vision or some other sense felt something there, but I would leave the door open when I was home alone, as my mom would tell me to. The hallway was dark, except for the one little nightlight plugged into an outlet. My room shone blue from my wall lights. Some of the blue poured into the part of the hallway closest to my room. In between the crack of the door was total blackness. I couldn't see through it. I didn't think anything of it. After our next game, Johnny said he was taking a leak and walked away while we were in the lobby. I looked at my phone, then looked back out to the hallway, and I noticed something was different. Now I could see through the crack of the door into the hallway. My first thought was someone knocking it just minutes ago. By instinct, I spun my chair around to face the bed behind me, and there was a man sitting on my bed with his freakishly upright posture and his hands resting on his thighs. He almost looked to be smiling. I was so alarmed I jumped out of my seat onto the desk and crawled onto the desk, causing my monitor and basically everything else to fall off of it. I screamed, "What do you want?" And he started to actually smile, now showing his teeth like he was laughing. I ran out of the room into the hallway. I stopped halfway down the hallway and looked back at my bedroom door. I heard the springs of my bed lifting, and then the guy slowly walked into the doorway and stopped. He stood there. I once again yelled, "What do you want?" He then spoke in a stuttered, slow voice, asking if he could play too. I asked, "How did you get in here?" He stepped a few steps forward and pointed down the stairs. I assumed he was implying he entered through the front door. I was at a loss for what to do, so I ran down the stairs to the landline phone, as my cell phone was still in my room. I grabbed the phone and a kitchen knife and screamed, "You need to leave or I'm calling 911. I heard footsteps walking down the steps, and the last time I saw the guy was when he walked past the kitchen, looked at me, and then I heard him walking out the front door. I ran to slam it shut and lock it. For the first time ever, I was ashamed at myself for leaving the door completely unlocked. I held the phone for a few minutes, trying to decide if I should tell my parents. In the end, I did. At first, my mom was worried, then she got really angry. She was so upset that she even put my dad on the phone. He told me to check the whole house to make sure nothing was taken. I went through every room, and everything seemed okay. I mentioned to my dad that the man seemed strange, and he agreed, saying, "Yeah, something's not right." The man didn't seem mean, but there was something weird about him, and I don't know what he wanted. The memory of him sitting on my bed and realizing he was watching me through the crack in the door was scary enough. Take a second to subscribe and like the video to help the channel grow. See you next time around. Take care.